Kathy has talked about to Burk and I off camera about this TV show that she gives the highest recommendation to, a French series from 2015 called The Bureau, which Burk and I have still not watched. But
I know no one I tell to watch this has ever watched it. I keep telling people to watch it, but no one watches it.
The to-do list is so overwhelming sometimes. But seriously, every time you tell me about it, I'm like, holy crap, that sounds like something I would love. And so I keep writing it down again on the list. And one of these days.
It's a French series, 2015. You're talking about Éric Rochant, as the showrunner. It's basically about this. It's about kind of espionage, surveillance,
right?
Kind of the French CIA. I forget what it's called, but it's such a cool, low key. It's not this big action thing. It's very smart inside, lots of like high drama stakes, but not this big, stupid thing. It's very smart, very dark. Unbelievable acting, just great acting, and just the structure of the show is so good that every single episode has a cliffhanger that feels like a finale, and you're just like, whoa, like everything is so good. So highly recommend you see The Bureau. Now, George Clooney loved it too, and he decided, I'm going to do my own version. That's why he has the agency.
Right. And that's coming to Paramount Plus and Showtime on November 29th for 10 episodes. So I think it's a limited series for 10 episodes. I guess maybe it's
very
more
high
than
bar.
that. And it's got a wonderful cast. I mean, Michael Fassbender, Jeffrey Wright, Catherine Waterston, Richard Gere, Jodie Turner-Smith, John Magaro. So a big time cast.
Yeah.
So, and we're going to see a trailer for the series.
And it's called The Agency.
So
instead of The Bureau, which sounded too French, we're going to go with The Agency.
Le Bureau. So I'm excited for you, Kathy. I don't know if you see this trailer, how it compares to the original.
I'm going to see how close it is to the original too.
It's almost like I'm getting, I haven't seen it yet, but maybe like the British Office to the US The Office, and this is it like sort of like in an office, but of course it's not funny. It's more sort of high tech and
it's all over the world.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
It's centered in an office in France in the Bureau, but they go everywhere. I mean,
gotcha.
It's
gotcha.
amazing.
All right. So let's check it out.
We ready?
Yes. I'm very excited.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody quiet. Okay. Action.
What is your question, Doctor?
You think it's possible that you may have something to hide?
Lie to everyone. Pretend to be someone you're not. Risk your life on a daily basis. No glamour.
No glamour.
No exploding watch. I believe there's one type of agent. The insane.
We lost an agent. You find him. Bring him back. Whatever it takes. Make it invisible.
The CIA sends us out into the world to behave in entirely unhealthy, deviant, dangerous ways. I was in a relationship that I broke off because of my mission.
You're in London?
Yes.
Me too.
She's not in the game.
If you're in this game, nobody knows.
You deployed undercover for years. People come back damaged from that. It's the agency. Nothing is personal. No!
I never thought I would see you again. You just vanished.
You're not trying to help me, Doctor. You're worried I may have somehow become sane.
The Agency. New series streaming November 29th on the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan.
So I did recognize a lot of plot points in that. And what I
Okay.
like about it is they're addressing the fact that, they're dealing with these agents who go undercover and they go to these
Yeah.
different, trying to infiltrate governments and plots and all that. So the problem is they go, when you come back and you're back at work and you've finished your mission, like it says, where does that person you were for sometimes years?
Yeah.
Where is that person? So it's that you have to be a complete sociopath to be able to do this job. And that's what he's kind of explained to her, is like, you have to be kind of crazy to do this job. And all of a sudden I'm going, wait, this is affecting me. And now I'm kind of losing my mind a little bit. So I love the idea that you become someone else and you just have to shed the skin and move on. And a lot of times it's really hard to move on. And that's kind of what the show is about in a way, but in a much juicier, cooler way than that sounds.
I wonder how many times undercover people have gone undercover into these other worlds and felt like, wow, I could make more money doing this. Or this is actually more attractive and more fun and more exciting than being a cop,
Right.
And then they start being a double agent. They go back to the police and they start assisting the people, they tell the bad guys, look, I'm undercover, but I've decided to, but then maybe that becomes a triple cross, that
there's a lot of that. Like, who are they? Which one's real? What's happening? There's a lot of that.
Where is their allegiance? Yeah.
Kathy, do they have the same vibe as the Bureau? I mean, did you sense that, or was it a little more actiony? A little
more
bit more
actiony. A lot more actiony. A little like there's a lot of running. There's some explosions. I don't remember any of that happening in there. It's gonna be really hard too to top this actor, Matthew Kassavets, I think his name is. He was so good in this. You've seen him in a bunch of stuff. He's so great. This is a show this show is based on. If you're gonna watch the show, almost maybe you shouldn't watch the first, the Bureau, but I kind of yearn for the Bureau instead of the agency, which I should. But at the same time, I think they're both gonna be great in their own way. And again, this looks like this American agency. They're still doing kind of the same thing where they've sent him overseas to be someone else. He meets a woman there. They have a relationship. Then he just bails, and she doesn't know what happened to him. Where'd he go? What happened? Well, yeah. Well, it's maybe
he doesn't want to endanger her. There's always that
aspect. Make sure she's okay, and then you completely fucked yourself and everyone by doing that. So it's got a lot of everything is high stakes. Every decision you make, every little crack in the veneer of anything you do has huge consequences. So it's such a good show.
And with certain kinds of jobs, if you do have a relationship with someone, you're putting that person in danger,
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you really love that person, your only option is to push them away, which is sort of
it's hard. The human toll of it is interesting. I mean, I will say Joe Wright is involved in it, and he did a lot of Black Mirror episodes.
Okay.
And he did The Darkest Hour, which was that Gary Oldman playing Winston Churchill, which was a really good film in a different way. And so I think there's potential for this to be really good. And maybe the actiony stuff is just the stuff they throw in the trailers to get people interested.
Contemporizing for an American audience. I can see why they would do that. It's just different. I mean, European sensibilities are different. I did try and notice this does look like it's only first season. I didn't see a lot of cues that would make it past the first season of the Bureau either. Because I mean, the Bureau first season ends on the most insane cliffhanger. I'm not gonna say what it, but it's like that's why we're seeing. Because you're going, what? I'm wondering how they're gonna handle that.
It's kind of good that they're not sort of taking four episodes of the Bureau and trying to cram it into one season.
That's what I was hoping. It wouldn't be this big long.
So it's not going to be this Cliff Note version of the series. So
or
actually,
an extended version of it that they do sometimes, where they take 10 episodes and turn it into 3 seasons.
That's why, and then they kind of go off on their own tangent, which they might, but at the same time, they don't really need to because the show has a blueprint. You don't need to veer off from it because it's so
right.
Good.
Well, it looks good to me. I mean, I like the actors. I love Jeffrey Wright. He's good and everything.
Yeah.
So,
and the woman that plays the doctor, who I recognize from Hereditary.
Yeah.
I hate that I don't know her name. She's always so good. She's got she's very intense.
Yeah, she's great. And there's the aspect of like when you come back from a mission like that and you have to talk to a psychiatrist, which is kind of what they're doing to make sure you're okay.
That's a part of it. Yeah. For sure.
But she's kind of like, he's not okay. It's not happening. This guy, something's off. Like he's done so many missions where he's been other people. He's starting to fall apart a little bit.
Well, he can play that character like he
Yeah.
in The Killer.
So
He played
restrained, you know.
he played that sort of that assassin who just basically has no
Yes.
feeling. So I think he's
Very
sort of
similar.
handling that a little bit.
I hope he brings a little more. I mean, he's a very cool actor. The Matthew Cassavetes, who was in The Bureau, brings a lot of emotion through. It's subdued, but he's an emotional character. I wasn't
Right.
seeing that in this. I mean, it's Fassbender. He's very restrained, but hopefully he'll have the cracks happening and he'll be able to pull that off. I think he will.
Right.
He's a great actor. So
It's interesting, the idea of undercover. I've always found that pretty fascinating, and it's a great topic for a story because it is just inherently suspenseful. The idea of like you're going into a violent situation and you're pretending you're basically just right up against these people's faces. You are betraying the hell out of them, and the idea that if you get caught, the consequences are just worse than anything because you're betraying them. You're trying to bust them, and you've been pretending to be their friend, or their colleague or whatever. So that's always been a really fascinating concept, is the idea of undercover. And what's interesting, we're talking about the psychological aspect of it and losing your sense of decency or whatever because you're surrounded by a different environment. I've actually, I've worked on movies and TV shows most of my life, and I've met a lot of actors. And one of the things I've always been fascinated with is the idea of how weird it is to be an actor. It sounds kind of weird, but sometimes you bring that up and actors will look at you and go, yes, exactly. I know. Yeah. And quite a few of them have told me that they've gotten a little bit frightened a couple of times playing a character, which is kind of like undercover,
Yeah.
And they've had to go to therapists to get themselves back out of a part. And some people hear that and they're like, oh, poor baby, you're making $1 million being an actor. But it's like, it is not easy to be an actor.
It's a weird thing. I mean, it's the ultimate fish out of water almost.
Yeah.
Like you're totally somewhere else, and it's odd to feel that.
Yeah. And to say you have an actor who's playing an agent who's pretending to be someone else, who then has another someone else, who then has
it's very confusing.
But
it looks good to me. It looks like something I
good.
definitely want to check out. So that comes out November 29th on Paramount Plus / Showtime.
All right.
And
what would your recommendation be, Kathy, for someone? Should someone watch The Bureau first and then watch this, or do you think maybe people should watch this and then The Bureau? Or
so hard. I would say watch The Bureau. Period. Just watch it. I wouldn't even wait for the show because it looks like it might be different. There'll be some plot points that are the same, but I think treatment will be different enough. And also, there's just so much show. And Bureau has like 4 or 5 seasons.
Right.
And once you get started, you're like, I'm so glad I have 4 more seasons of this. Like, this is such a luxury to have so much. I think it's gonna be really frustrating to just see 10 episodes be done with Bureau. But we'll see. I don't think it will ruin it. Like if I recognize plot points, but it's not gonna ruin it for me to watch the Agency American version. So.
But maybe like watch the first season of The Bureau and then watch the Agency and then watch this. I don't know. It's like
I would just burn right through that thing. You won't be able to stop. You won't.
I think I'll burn through The Bureau and then watch.
You're gonna burn through it.
I think I might follow your lead, Kathy.
Just burn
yeah.
You won't be able to stop. I guarantee it's one of those you're going to watch it all night long and watch 6 episodes at a time.
That's awesome. I love that. I need one of those.
So good. I know.
It sounds like right up my alley. It sounds like the kind of stuff.
And it's France, for God's sake.
Yeah.
That too.
Oh God. Okay.
So The Bureau, the Agency, they both sound good. They both look good. Check it out.
Smart writing, apparently.
Bye. Yes.
Bye, everybody.